Imagine this. It's 8 p.m. You've provided a life of comfort, premium nutrition, and a loving home. Yet your toddler is screaming on the floor because you cut their toast into triangles instead of squares. Or perhaps they are laughing hysterically while running away from their pajamas. Before you conclude that your parenting is failing or your child is difficult, listen to what the data suggests. A groundbreaking study from the Yale Child Study Center reveals that this isn't defiance, it's a neurological short circuit. You aren't witnessing a tantrum, you are witnessing the downstairs brain in a biological survival fight. And today, we are going to use the hard science of neurobiology to end bedtime wars forever. The transition from a high-energy day to a restful night is perhaps the most complex psychological shift a human being undergoes within a 24-hour cycle. For a toddler, this shift is not merely a change of pace, it is a neurological hurdle that often triggers what we perceive as rebellion. According to researchers at the University of Pennsylvania, they are experiencing a physiological phenomenon known as cognitive transition failure. Within the framework of pediatric neuroscience, we understand that a toddler's brain is a masterpiece of development, yet it lacks the structural maturity to manage the sudden withdrawal of environmental stimulation. Current data from the National Sleep Foundation indicates that nearly 60% of parents in the United States report significant bedtime resistance at least 3 nights a week. To understand why, we must look at the Cortisol-Melatonin Seesaw. In a balanced system, as natural light fades, the pineal gland begins the synthesis of melatonin. However, in the modern household, filled with LED lighting and high-frequency stimuli, this process is often delayed. When a child is pushed past their optimal sleep window, the adrenal glands compensate by releasing a surge of cortisol and adrenaline. This creates what pediatricians call a second wind, which is actually a state of hyperarousal. Statistically, a child in this state will take 40% longer to achieve deep-stage REM sleep compared to a child who begins their routine within a low cortisol window. This brings us to the structural duality of the developing brain. Dr. Daniel Siegel of UCLA famously describes the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain. The upstairs brain, or the prefrontal cortex, governs executive functions like logic, emotional regulation, and the ability to follow multi-step instructions. This region remains under construction until the mid-20s. The downstairs brain, including the amygdala, is the seat of survival instincts and raw emotion. By the end of a long day, the neural pathways connecting these two regions become fatigued. Longitudinal studies suggest that when a toddler is tired, their upstairs brain literally goes offline. You are no longer speaking to a rational being, you are speaking to a biological system operating in fight or flight mode. To bridge this gap, we look toward a 15-minute protocol rooted in choice architecture, a concept widely studied in behavioral economics. A landmark study from the Harvard Center on the Developing Child revealed that children who are given a sense of agency during high-stress transitions show a 60% reduction in oppositional behavior. This is not about relinquishing parental authority, it is about providing a choice illusion. When you ask a child if they want to wear the blue pajamas or the striped ones, you are engaging the medial prefrontal cortex. This engagement inhibits the amygdala's no response. By shifting the child's focus from the fact of bedtime to the method of bedtime, you bypass the neurological trigger for a power struggle. Statistical evidence from the American Academy of Pediatrics shows that children who experience high autonomy environments during the day have a significantly lower rate of nighttime cortisol spikes. If a child spends their day hearing, "No, don't touch that," "No, don't go there," their brain accumulates a frustration debt. By the time 8 p.m. arrives, they are desperate to reclaim some form of control. This is why the choice illusion works so effectively. It pays off that frustration debt in small, manageable increments. Furthermore, the physical environment plays a statistically significant role in sleep onset latency. Oxford University's Sleep and Circadian Neuroscience Institute found that even brief exposure to blue light can suppress melatonin production for up to 90 minutes. For a child whose ocular lenses are clearer and more sensitive than in adults, the impact is even more profound. Data suggests that dimming household lights to 50% at least 30 minutes before the intended sleep time can increase the speed of sleep onset by nearly 35%. This is the sensory slide, a gradual reduction of environmental input that allows the nervous system to shift from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic state. The second phase of this 15-minute shift involves what developmental psychologists call co-regulation. Humans are a social species, and a child's nervous system is not designed to calm itself in isolation. A study utilizing thermal imaging to track stress levels in toddlers during bedtime showed that children who experienced 5 minutes of floor time, where the parent was physically lower than the child, showed a rapid drop in heart rate. This is the connection bridge. By spending 5 minutes of your routine simply being present without giving commands, you lower the child's cortisol levels. This creates a state of physiological safety. Without this sense of safety, the brain remains in a state of high alert, scanning the environment for threats instead of preparing for rest. The final 5 minutes of the routine should be dedicated to oxytocin induction. Often referred to as the bonding hormone, oxytocin acts as a natural antagonist to stress hormones. A 2022 study emphasized the importance of the last thing ritual. This is the final interaction a child has before sleep. When this interaction is characterized by verbal validation, such as recounting a specific moment of the day where the child was brave or kind, it stimulates the release of oxytocin. Statistical analysis shows that children who end their day with a positive, low-arousal verbal ritual experience fewer night terrors and stay in deep sleep for longer durations. A meta-analysis of over 2,000 families practicing science-backed bedtime routines found that the consistency of the routine was more important than the length. The data indicated that a 15-minute routine performed with 90% consistency was 3 times effective than a 60-minute routine performed with 50% consistency. This is because the toddler brain thrives in predictive processing. When the brain knows exactly what is coming next, it can safely power down its defense mechanisms. When we look at the data, the conclusion is clear. Bedtime battles are not a failure of parenting, they are a sign of a brain doing exactly what it was designed to do: test boundaries and seek safety. By utilizing the dopamine drop through choices, the connection bridge through co-regulation, and the sensory slide through environmental control, we are not just getting a child to sleep, we are building the architecture of their emotional intelligence. We see this reflected in a longitudinal study by the Yale Child Study Center, which followed families using these science-backed routines over a 3-year period. The results were staggering. Children in these homes showed a 40% improvement in emotional regulation and executive function by the age of 5. This suggests that the way we handle these 15 minutes at night has long-term implications for their academic and social success. As you move forward, remember that you are not just managing a schedule, you are a neuro-architect. Every time you choose validation over escalation, you are strengthening the neural pathways that will one day allow your child to manage their own stress and lead with confidence. Which of these data-backed strategies resonates most with your family's dynamic? Perhaps it is the choice illusion, the connection bridge, or the sensory slide. We invite you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Drop a 1, 2, or 3.
For more deep dives into the science of modern parenting, ensure you are subscribed to Parenting IQ. You are raising the next generation of thinkers, and understanding the why behind their no is the first step in guiding them toward a brilliant yes.